It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Kevin Carr.
And this is It's Movie Time.
All right.
And this is the time of year when you get some really good films, Kev.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, not only because you are a premier critic that I invited you here, I invited you because I know something about your background that a lot of people don't.
Okay.
I think you were a competitive eater.
I was.
Therefore I said, the menu. It's made for Kevin.
It is. Well, I mean, it's slightly different because it's more like haute cuisine.
You think
much smaller portions.
You were chugging down hot dogs.
Yeah, you don't get like 87 ounces of baked beans or something. So what is on the menu? Did you bring me anything to eat? I'm looking for food.
Well, I'll tell you, if I could remember any of the entrees in this movie, which is really a satire of the moneyed class and hot cuisine.
Yeah, it's satire and skewering of the people who have enough wealth to do something like this.
Yeah. At $1,250 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
Each
And
one.
it didn't even involve a presidential campaign.
Right, yes. So this is Ralph Fiennes,
Yeah.
who was nominated for a Golden Globe for this role.
Yeah.
And Anya Taylor-Joy is also nominated.
Yeah.
The film isn't nominated for anything else.
No, it's what's funny about this movie is it's one of those that's hard to categorize because a lot of people have said this year has been a great year for horror movies.
Okay.
With stuff like Eat, Pray on Hulu and The Barbarian and just a bunch of real interesting horror stuff. And I've heard people throw this in there, and I'm like, I don't know if this is horror. It certainly is horror adjacent. It's more of a thriller. So, I mean, it does deal with uncomfortable things.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why it fits. But even then, I mean, suspense, I don't know how you would pigeonhole a movie like this.
I'll tell you where it falls on suspense is we know what the ending is going to be way early in the film. And
Well, I mean, they yes and no. You don't know exactly how the ending's going.
No, but you do know.
They tell you what's going to happen.
They tell.
They reveal at certain.
They reveal way too early, I think.
Really?
Because I like suspense. I'd like not to know what's going to happen to them.
Yeah. What's interesting is normally I'm not a fan of them revealing, but I don't think. I guess the way I would phrase it is. You find out what the end game is, but you don't know how it's going to be played out.
That's true, and that's true.
You don't know where the pieces on the board are.
I was still drawn to it. I still was intrigued by it, even when I knew what the plan of the chef,
Yes.
played by Ralph Fiennes.
Yes. The basic story is this group of people, a whole bunch of hoity-toity
12
people
of them,
who can each,
like the apostles.
Yeah, they can afford the $1,200 plate meal. They all go to this famous chef's private island where he has a very high class restaurant, and they're all going for an exclusive meal. And there's some, let's just say, there's ulterior motives to what's going to happen that night. And the fly in the ointment is one of the people was a last-minute replacement.
Yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy
Yeah.
plays Margot, I think her name is.
Margot, yeah.
And she is all of us kind of looking askance at what the hell's going on.
She's the audience surrogate. She's the average person who's pulled back because like all the different characters they got like John Leguizamo plays like a has-been actor.
Yes.
And they've got was it Janet Tier?
Janet McTeer.
Janet McTeer
Oh, yeah.
plays a restaurant critic, and then you've got these corporate investors, and you've got these people who can afford to eat at a place like this, and she's just like you or me, who Olive Garden might be our splurge.
Well, they got moments such as the couple who'd been there 11 times,
Something like that. Yeah.
and he can't remember one food in that one entree. He can't remember anyone.
Yeah.
Which is all of us. I can't remember any that the film offers, except there's something about seaweed.
Well, and that's the thing. What they do is when they plate something and they bring it to you, and then they tell you there's something that you wouldn't eat normally, covered with a reduction and an emulsion. They're throwing all of those terms that if you're not used to them, it just sounds like a bunch of words.
I think they even had snow on one plate, as I recall.
Oh yeah, like somehow they make like fluffy ice.
But Kev, the pièce de résistance has to be the breadless bread plate.
Well, and even that one is it reeks so much of BS. But there's this disconnect where some people are like, well, this is where they recognize it, they see through it immediately as it's basically just a bunch of dips but no bread.
Right.
And then there are people who fall into it who are like, well, it must be important if the chef says it.
Right. Yes. And
you still don't know whether the chef actually thinks that this was a brilliant idea or if he's messing with them.
Exactly. Fiennes is very good at that.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in his eyes that he captures the menace that I think it really is there.
Yeah.
Because from the beginning, and you mentioned about the horror film, and I agree. This is not what I would think of as a standard horror. Although there are moments that would qualify. There's a couple of moments that would qualify.
Well, and there's scenes and moments, and if you've seen the trailer, you know what I'm talking about, but there's parts that draw directly to horror movies where I can say, well, that comes right out of this movie, or this comes, there's a breed of movies that do this, and so they play into that, but it's not overtly done, and that's, I think it's a little more subtle, which surprises me because this kind of showed up with little fanfare. This dropped, I think like in just a couple weeks ago, and it's doing quite well under the radar. I mean, it's coming in.
Yes.
It's flying in under Black Panther and everything, but it's had an incredible hold for the week, and then of course some Golden Globe nominations, and I mean, I think it's more of a testament to this is one of those middle releases that everybody's bemoaning people don't go to, but people do. There's just it has to offer something different. It has to offer something unique and entertaining.
Oh yes, and when you get like the young man played by Nicholas Hoult, Tyler, who is the pretentious.
He's the date for Margot.
Right, and he is the one who shelled out the $12.50 for her.
Yeah,
and
$2,500 for her.
Not really pleased with her kind of insouciance
about
all this, and he adores the chef Slowick.
He's a foodie taken to an nth degree.
Yes. And I just have to say this: the brilliant part of this is the chef forces him to cook. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's completely pretentious.
Yeah. Well, and it's I think it's a satire of opulence, and it's a satire of this level of foodism.
Yes.
Where it becomes more than just eating, but at the same time, it's a satire of self-importance.
Yes.
And of social media and the way people see themselves and an image.
Yeah.
And I think it does it relative. It doesn't. There are times where it's a little bit on the nose, but I think overall it's relatively subtle in moving from criticism to criticism. Maybe the moments aren't that subtle, but I don't think it overstays and it doesn't beat you over the head. It throws it out there and it might be pretty blatant. Then they move on to something else that they're gonna.
And he throws it out to us too.
Yeah.
So as we're watching it, all of a sudden when Hoult gets on and acts like a goofball, I say, well, gee, that's a little bit of me. I've been throwing around some names of food that I've eaten, and I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But I do like to cook, but there's not even close to his. And I love the way Fiennes' character introduces each meal and the background he gives it. And while it sounds fluffy, it still is pretty interesting to see the way he approaches it.
Well, that's what they do with these things.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never done the high level, but I've had decent. I've never had that level of food, but I've seen stuff plated in a very alluring manner, and kind of been confounded by it. Let's just put it that way.
All right, Kevin, if people want to hear more about our blather, they're gonna have to go to Backtalk.
And I'm gonna make a very interesting point and a very interesting movie
All right.
connection you're not ready for.
All right, okay, and so they can go to the WCBE podcast
Mhm.
to hear that. I really like that bridge you're creating there. Kevin, at this point, what would you advise our audience?
I would advise going in knowing the least amount possible. Don't watch the trailer and enjoy it. It is one of the more unique movies you'll see this year.
Good.